As the archaeological season draws to a close in April, news just arrived that there's been a tomb discovery, and it's near the Step Pyramid. This is an excavation overseen by the great Zahi Hawass and the Supreme Ministry of Antiquities. They found a tomb of a prince.
They once believed that Saqqara had exhausted its secrets. For centuries, every stone, every somber passageway, every ancient tomb had been upturned, measured, and meticulously documented to the point where there was seemingly nothing left to tell. But in early 2025, when the archaeological team returned to the northern area of the Pyramid of Teti, a region they thought they knew intimately, they inadvertently stumbled upon a strange void, sealed by layers of pristine, ancient mortar that had never been touched. And then, everything fell silent. A dust-covered chest appeared, with faded linen wraps and shimmering gold bracelets lying almost perfectly intact across countless centuries. Yet, more shocking still, was another hidden, secret chamber concealing objects that sent shivers of terror down the archaeologists' spines. Who secretly buried this treasure right in the heart of Saqqara's most sacred ceremonial center, only to hide it for 4 millennia, and what lurked within that chamber that horrified archaeologists, men and women accustomed to ancient bones and curses, as if the past had suddenly sprung to life to whisper a terrifying truth. From that room, Saqqara once again awakened the world that beneath the golden sands of Egypt, there still lie secrets powerful enough to overturn all of humanity's understanding of the civilization that gave birth to it. The pyramid marks the beginning. Emerging from the desert south of Cairo, on the hardened yellow sand plateau, is a step-shaped stone mass rising over 60 meters. This is the Pyramid of Pharaoh Djoser, a structure that archaeologists regard as the starting point of the entire Egyptian pyramid architecture. Before Giza emerged, before perfect triangular peaks dominated the skyline, Saqqara defined what the ancients called immortality in stone. Built around 2630 BC during the Third Dynasty, Saqqara was the brainchild of the architect Imhotep, considered the first polymath in human history, prior to Djoser's time. Pharaohs were buried in simple, low, flat, rectangular mastabas made of mud brick. Imhotep broke with this tradition. He stacked 6 mastabas atop one another, creating stone steps that reached toward the sky. This structure was both a technical breakthrough and a political statement. The kingship did not merely rule the earth, but was directly connected to the divine world. Technically, the Saqqara pyramid is a testament to organizational and labor skills far ahead of their time. The structure is about 203 feet tall, with a rectangular base measuring 410 feet long and 109, 358 feet wide. It was constructed entirely of white Tura limestone, quarried and fitted tightly in horizontal courses without mortar. Each stone block weighed between 1 and 2 tons, transported manually using rollers, sledges, and ramp systems. Underground, Imhotep designed an unparalleled network of tunnels and subterranean chambers, extending over 3 miles, more complex than any contemporary structure. The main burial chamber lies nearly 92 feet deep, shielded by thick limestone walls and sealed with a multi-ton granite plug. Surrounding it are over 400 secondary rooms, which once held tens of thousands of burial artifacts and blue faience tiles symbolizing the royal palace walls. What sets Saqqara apart is not just the building technique, but the scale of its planning. The pyramid is the focal point of a massive complex, spanning over 37 acres, and surrounded by a towering stone enclosure wall nearly 33 feet high. The complex includes a main gateway, the Hebsed ceremonial court, storehouses, temples, and a limestone statue of King Djoser. The overall layout adheres to a precise north-south axis, reflecting advanced mathematical and astronomical thought. Notably, the enclosure wall features 14 gates, but only one is real and functional. The rest are dummy gates, created for rituals, symbolizing the soul's passage after death. Many elements of this complex design, from false columns to courtyards, became the prototypes for the later pyramids at Meidum, Bent, and Giza. Saqqara also reflects a turning point in ancient Egyptian religious thought. Here, for the first time, the king's tomb was designed as a micro-universe, a reenactment of the journey from the mortal world to eternity. Every detail is symbolic. The 6 steps represent the 6 heavenly tiers, and the north-south axis orients the soul toward the North Star, the unsetting point, a symbol of immortality. Architecture was no longer merely a burial place, but a tool to ensure the king's rebirth and eternal rule. from a political perspective. This was Djoser's way of asserting absolute power. His body may rest in stone, but his image and symbol would never vanish from the desert. More than 4,600 years later, Saqqara still stands, having endured earthquakes, erosion, and centuries of quarrying. Only its outer casing has partially collapsed. Repeated modern restorations, particularly in the early 21st century, have stabilized the structure but also revealed an internal complexity that archaeologists have yet to fully decipher. The system of subterranean corridors, sealed auxiliary chambers, and stone layers seemingly arranged to conceal something deeper remain open questions, despite centuries of research. No one can definitively confirm the ultimate purpose of the entire underground network. Was it merely for storing treasures? Or did it have a ritualistic role that modern people have yet to grasp? Thus, Saqqara is not just a monument, it is the foundational blueprint for the entire Egyptian civilization. It merged science, religion, and power into one structure, creating a model inherited by every subsequent monumental building. The techniques involving load distribution, celestial orientation, and stone block arrangement became a template for the ancient world. Looking back, one realizes before Saqqara, humanity only knew how to build houses for the living. After Saqqara, they began to build houses for eternity. And despite having spanned more than 4 millennia, Djoser's pyramid still holds a part of its mystery. Every stone, every corridor, seems to be placed not only to bear weight, but also to hide something even deeper, a truth that modern humanity has only just begun to touch. A century of exploration at Saqqara. If the Djoser pyramid symbolizes the origin, the discoveries surrounding it are a reminder that history never stops. For over a century and a half, Saqqara has been one of the world's longest and most continuously excavated archaeological sites. Here, each layer of sand not only covers the past, but conceals a different civilization, a different story, a different mystery that generations of scholars have persistently tried to decode. The story began in the mid-19th century when French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette first ventured into the desert south of Giza. In 1850, he discovered the entrance to a tunnel over 300 meters long, and what lay inside astonished all of Europe. It was the Serapeum of Saqqara, the burial site for the sacred Apis bull's divine animals, considered the embodiment of the god Ptah in the cold, damp darkness. Mariette and his team saw 24 colossal granite sarcophagi, each nearly 13 feet long and weighing up to 80 tons, lined up in an underground labyrinth. The sarcophagi lids were cut with a precision that even 19th century mechanical technology could not replicate. This discovery ushered in the first era of modern Egyptology and made Saqqara a focal point of global archaeology. In the decades that followed, a succession of international research teams arrived, believing the site held more than just bull catacombs. They quickly realized that Saqqara was not linked to a single king or period, but was a trans-temporal necropolis, where different dynasties continued to build tombs, worship, and reuse the subterranean space. By the early 20th century, 2 British archaeologists, Cecil Firth and James Quibble, excavated the area around the Djoser pyramid and found a painted limestone statue of King Djoser, the oldest life-sized Egyptian statue ever discovered. The hieroglyphic inscriptions on the walls here did not merely record the king's titles, but also detailed the system of offerings, architecture, and construction rituals. Every inscription became a living document, helping researchers reconstruct how the Egyptians operated such a colossal project. During the 1920s and 1930s, excavations expanded to the east and south of the complex, bringing the world closer to the lives of ancient Egyptian nobility. They uncovered dozens of mastabas, the rectangular box-like tombs of officials from the 5th and 6th dynasties. One of these, the tomb of Mereruka, a vizier under King Teti, forced archaeologists to acknowledge that the Egyptians had achieved an artistic level equal to that of classical Greece. Over 30 rooms in the tomb are exquisitely carved and painted with scenes of labor, feasting, rituals, and hunting an entire society etched into the stone from this. It was understood that Saqqara was not just for royalty, it was the resting place of those closest to power, reflecting the entire social system of ancient Egypt. Moving into the second half of the 20th century, new waves of excavations continued to show Saqqara's continuous expansion. Archaeologists discovered burial complexes belonging to the New Kingdom and the Late Period, proving that the site was in continuous use for over 3 millennia. The top layer held relics of the Old Kingdom, the middle layer the tombs of Ramesses-era priests, and deeper still, catacombs from the Persian era, just when they thought they had reached the end. Another layer of history was encountered. This superposition earned Saqqara the moniker, the Library of Sand. A major turning point occurred in the early 21st century, when Egyptian archaeological teams began to lead the projects themselves instead of relying on foreign missions. This shift was not only symbolic, but also marked an advance in research methodology. In 2018, the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities announced the discovery of the tomb of Wati, a 5th dynasty priest, in a state of nearly perfect preservation. Inside, the walls were covered with vibrant colored reliefs, and stone statues depicted the entire priestly family. Images broadcast internationally put Saqqara back in the spotlight. Experts called it the best preserved tomb since the 1950s. 2 years later, in 2020, the world was again stunned when over 100 intact wooden sarcophagi were discovered in deep shafts 39 feet near the Teti Pyramid. These coffins, dating back about 200 to 500 years to the 26th dynasty, the last period before the Persian invasion, were brightly decorated, gilded, and still contained mummies. Along with them were statues of gods, funerary masks, amulets, and dozens of small grave goods. The image of the stacked sarcophagi in the desert became one of the most famous archaeological moments of the 21st century. Excavations have continued ever since. Between 2021 and 2023, Egyptian teams discovered ancient embalming workshops, statues of the goddess Bastet, and more noble tombs from the New Kingdom. These findings are not just historically valuable, they help reconstruct the entire sequence of embalming techniques. From resin formulas to the structure of natural cooling chambers, every new discovery at Saqqara is not just an archaeological event, but a resurrection of national pride for the first time in centuries. Egypt is telling its own history with Egyptian hands. However, these very rapid discoveries have led scientists to a paradox the more they dig. The deeper Saqqara goes, the stratigraphic map is never complete. Areas thought to be the edge of the necropolis open into corridors that extend north and west, suggesting the entire complex may span over 4.3 miles. Every underground structure discovered leads to another corridor, another chamber, another deeper level. Archaeologists are beginning to admit that no matter how sophisticated, the pick and shovel cannot move faster than time. After over 150 years of excavation, Saqqara has told humanity a great deal about ritual, power, technique, and belief, but it has also kept the most important thing to itself, what lies beyond the reach of light. At this stage, researchers understand that to take the next step, they need to change their approach. Instead of digging deeply by hand, they must see through with technology. And that shift opened a new era for Saqqara, because in that heart of the sand, in a place that generations like Mariette and Quibel never reached, something is waiting to be seen for the first time in 4,000 years. The prince's tomb and the enigmatic chamber. In early 2025, a group of Egyptian and Japanese scientists initiated a new project at Saqqara, right near the Pyramid of Teti. They were not searching for treasure, but rather seeking a deeper understanding of what lies beneath the sand specifically, how the actual ground substructure supports an ancient monument more than 4,000 years old. The team utilized 3 modern technologies: ground-penetrating radar (GPR), electrical resistivity tomography (ERT), and seismic refraction tomography (SRT). Simply put, these are electronic eyes capable of seeing through the ground to measure void space, density, and the structure of the bedrock. Initially, they only hoped to create an engineering map to aid in conservation efforts. However, the first results prompted everyone to pause and look more closely. The radar waves returned an image of a clear, distinct void, located about 10 meters deep square, regular, with reflection lines so flat that they could not be a natural cavity. When data from all 3 methods were overlaid, a model emerged, an artificial chamber hidden beneath the ancient limestone layer. This result was forwarded to the Supreme Council of Antiquities of Egypt, where Dr. Zahi Hawass was overseeing excavations around the Teti Pyramid complex. Immediately upon comparing the coordinates, His team realized that the anomalous radar area perfectly matched the zone they were currently surveying. A limited excavation was authorized, and just a few days into the digging, the tip of a shovel struck a massive block of pink granite. When the final layer of sand was cleared away, a 4.5-meter-tall false door made of pink stone was revealed, intricately carved and astonishingly intact. The hieroglyphic inscription in the center of the door identified the tomb's owner, Prince Wasser-if-Re, son of King Userkaf, the pharaoh who initiated the 5th dynasty of Egypt. According to information from Archaeology magazine and Aram Online, behind the door lay a tomb complex with multiple interconnected chambers. The walls were carved with figures of people, animals, and funerary rituals, many areas still retaining their original colors. The main chamber had a ceiling over 3 meters high, directly hollowed out of the natural limestone, demonstrating the incredible skill of the ancient builders. The false door was not merely decorative. Egyptians believed it was the passage for the Ka soul to return to the world of the gods. In the central chamber, the archaeological team discovered fragments of stone statues, pieces of blue and yellow faience inlay, and the lid of a limestone sarcophagus. Although the mummy was not intact, the structure of the tomb remained remarkably stable. Some of the reliefs still had traces of red paint, a rarity after millennia. Reports from the Egyptian State Information Service indicate that the research team also found statues of King Djoser, his wife, and daughters that were interred in the tomb during a later period. It appears the tomb was reused over generations, strengthening the hypothesis that Saqqara is not just an ancient necropolis, but also a repository of memories from multiple dynasties. What captured the attention of the archaeological community was the link between the radar technology and the field discovery. A few months prior, a study published in NPJ Heritage Science had used the same GPR, ERT, SRT methods to map subsurface anomalies at Saqqara. One of the areas highlighted in that report, labeled A3, was located very close to the position of the newly excavated prince's tomb. While there is no definitive proof that the radar detected the tomb beforehand, it is clear that the technology helped orient the search process. But the tomb of Prince Wasser-if-Re was not the entire story. The part that most intrigued the researchers came from a highly unexpected finding. When they recompared the geophysical survey data around the prince's tomb, a small area right next to it showed anomalous signals. At a depth of only about 2 to 4 meters, there was a strange, regular, clearly shaped reflection zone, looking like a second room running parallel to the main tomb. Initially, the technical team thought it was just a natural cavity in the limestone, but upon rescanning, the reflection lines maintained their position and sharpness, compelling them to drill a test bore to verify. The moment the drill bit touched the final layer of rock, a gust of cold air rushed out, fogging the camera lens. The entire team stood in silence, looking at each other through their masks. Inside was a narrow space with walls covered in a faint blackish color, like burn marks when the light shone in. They saw small, carbonized objects, possibly linen or wood. A few partially burned fragments clung to the stone floor. Nearby, a block of white limestone was cracked from the inside out, as if it had been subjected to high temperatures in the past. When gas measurements were taken, they detected higher than normal concentrations of methane and radon, forcing them to temporarily halt the excavation for safety. The preliminary report was brief. Auxiliary chamber, signs of ancient burning, unidentified materials, access temporarily halted. The archaeologists are hesitant to draw immediate conclusions. Some believe the side chamber may have been used for spiritual rites, a place where priests performed rituals for the deceased, but others suggest it was built later, as a way to seal off or isolate something the ancients did not want anyone to touch. Today, the area around that chamber remains constantly protected and monitored with geophysical sensors. No one is certain what lies behind that layer of rock. But one thing the entire team agrees on: Saqqara still holds stories that humanity is not yet ready to fully uncover. The legacy of a civilization. In recent years, Saqqara has become one of the world's most influential archaeological sites, not just for its sensational discoveries, but for how they have forced scientists to rewrite their entire understanding of ancient Egypt. Research findings published in 2025 in NPJ Heritage Science and Archaeology magazine clearly show the Saqqara necropolis was not a separate complex belonging only to the Djoser or Titi dynasties, but a continuously operating administrative and ritual center for over 3,000 years. Data from shallow seismic surveys, GPR, and ERT have identified dozens of previously unrecorded structures, including corridors, ritual chambers, and ventilation shafts located within various stratigraphic layers. This dismantles the old hypothesis that each dynasty built its own separate burial area. Instead, Saqqara functioned as a single religious capital, expanded and reused across generations of pharaohs. What astonished archaeologists was the complexity of the underground network. Resistivity and seismic reflection measurements show the existence of structures dug at precise angles, potentially designed to channel air and light, a feature not previously documented in ancient funerary architecture. This discovery is forcing research teams from the Leipzig Institute of Archaeology and Cairo University to reevaluate the technical sophistication of the Egyptians during the Old Kingdom. Instead of relying solely on experience, they appear to have applied mathematical and three-dimensional planning, a form of engineering close to modern architectural thinking. From a cultural perspective, Saqqara also helps redefine the relationship between religion, art, and state administration. Analysis of artifacts, inscriptions, and administrative seals found in the area reveals that the Egyptian religious system was not just a belief, but a form of social governance where priests, artisans, engineers, and officials worked together to maintain the cosmic order they called Ma'at. This explains why Saqqara outlasted most other capitals. It preserved not just mummies, but the organizational mechanism of a civilization. One of the biggest consequences from Saqqara is the way it has changed the methodology of global archaeology. Thanks to geophysical scanning technologies like GPR, ERT, and SRT, scientists can now identify subsurface structures without destructive excavation. Saqqara has become the model for non-invasive archaeology, subsequently applied at sites like Abuser, Luxor, and even the Valley of the Kings. The integration of radar data, 3D models, and satellite imagery helps reconstruct the entire ancient topography of the Memphis region, a major step in preserving heritage without physical damage. But Saqqara's true value goes beyond technology or architectural discoveries. It lies in its broadening of human understanding regarding the nature of memory and heritage. Inscriptions analyzed with multispectral imaging technology show that, over millennia, successors returned to the site to repair, add inscriptions, or perform commemorative rituals. This proves that the ancient Egyptians were keenly aware of the continuity of history, viewing the preservation of collective memory as a religious responsibility. They did not just bury the dead, they intentionally maintained the connection between generations. Professor Salima Ikram of the American University in Cairo noted that what is happening at Saqqara has changed the epistemological structure of Egyptology. She believes the wealth of data allows for interdisciplinary study of ancient Egypt, combining geology, physics, biology, and history, instead of merely excavating and displaying artifacts. Research teams now focus on socio-ecological models, examining how resources, climate, and religion together shape the sustainability of a civilization. On a broader scale, Saqqara provides humanity with a practical reminder every civilization is built on memory, and it perishes when that memory is forgotten. The ability of modern scientists to decode geological layers, read hieroglyphs, and redate dynasties is not just a technical achievement. It is proof that human intellect, separated by thousands of years, can still converse with its own past. The discoveries at Saqqara have helped the world understand that ancient Egypt was not an isolated civilization, but a crucial link in the development of human consciousness, from religious belief to scientific thinking, from the desire for eternal life to the ability to create structures more durable than life itself. These lessons are being integrated into international heritage study programs. Viewing Saqqara as evidence that a civilization can preserve itself. If you found the story we told helpful in understanding ancient history, please support us by liking, sharing the video, and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on other interesting videos. This information is compiled in good faith and with respect for ancient civilizations. If there are any errors, we are willing to correct them upon receiving reliable academic feedback. We are not responsible if you misunderstand or misapply this content.